Good afternoon, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today in this next portion of the forum that we're putting on here. This is basically where we've broken up into different action squads. Obviously, we've already kind of had a bit of a transition to those groups a little bit in the last full group event that we kind of went on, where we broke up into those groups and kind of brainstormed some of the things that were going on with each of those different topics. Today in our group here, we're going to be talking about the Youth Action Squad. And before I do that, I would like to just make a few introductions here. My name is John McKenney. I am the Financial Education Coordinator with the Office of the State Treasurer. And I am partnered today with a lovely panel and also a lovely co-host here as well, Clinton Taylor, to initiate and kind of moderate and just start a group discussion that we can have on ways that we can better meet the needs of our youth in this state. So let me start off by saying thank you everyone for being here. We have three panelists who are going to be kind of leading us in different directions with regards to some data as well as some conversation later on. To start with, we have Miladys Garcia here, who is the Financial Education Special Populations Program Supervisor of FEP, which is, yes, the Financial Education Public-Private Partnership. This is an organization that was created by the Washington State Legislature. It's a nonprofit organization that works to basically bring about public and private stakeholders to work together to collaborate and advocate and bring about more financial educations to our youth, as well as professional development for teachers in our public school systems, and also looking at just in general bringing financial education more and more to our schools. We also have Monika Matthews. She is the Executive Director of the Life Enrichment Group, which was founded in 2003 by Monika herself. The Life Enrichment Group is a nonprofit that focuses on providing academic, social, and emotional support programs for youth and young adults. In addition to this, she's the executive director, a philanthropist, a grant writer, a mentor, and entrepreneur, just to name a few things. And I apologize, I'm moving a little bit too quickly here. I also forgot to mention that Miladys is from the Dominican Republic, having grown up as well in New York for over 28 years, and brings a lot of expertise behind her work as well. Thank you, Miladys, for being here. And then last, of course, but not least, Minda Mattox. She is a WSECU Community Relations Education Director, and at her core is a teacher and an educator for over 30 years. Her passion shines through presenting to and guiding in her community on financial wellness and equity and social justice. She's a leading liaison and a pivotal pillar in these communities, just to name a few of those background as well.
So just in case, my name is Clinton Taylor. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Your Money Matters Mentoring. For those of you that don't know, I've been involved in this financial literacy work for about 8 years now in the state. Really honored to be here today. I just want to real quick, I don't know if you had access to the session description, what's taking place in here today. So who has not seen that? Everybody's, there's a few people that have it? Okay, so just really quick. So this session is about many youth are transitioning to adulthood, that transition to adulthood struggle financially. They may not have received education about managing their finances and lack of access to safe and affordable mainstream financial services. This panel will discuss the barriers to financial health often faced by young people, along with the resources available from financial institutions and community-based organizations. And we encourage attendees to look at how current programs are supporting young people and what else it takes for young people to achieve financial wellness. So that's what this session is about. And so at this time, we'll turn it over to Miladys, who is our first presenter in this session.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so thank you everyone for being here. I am Miladys Garcia, and I am with the Financial Education Public-Private Partnership. And today, I will be sharing some impactful data on the, on the barriers to financial health that our BIPOC youth face in the state of Washington, as well as some of the challenges that we have had in identifying financial education resources for our BIPOC youth, as well as some successes. And that's basically what we do. What we do is identify financial education resources to teach personal finance to the K-12 public school youth. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. Thank you, John, for that wonderful introduction. As John mentioned, I come from the Dominican Republic. My first language is Spanish. I attended New York University and obtained degrees in early childhood special education, early childhood education, and Spanish literature with a focus in Latin American studies. So when we're talking about BIPOC youth, that's me. We're talking about me. When we're talking about the barriers that they face, that's my experience. So I am very passionate about the work that I do. Some of what I've done in the past is I worked with social service agencies as an interpreter and translator, and as John mentioned earlier, currently I am the Special Populations Program Supervisor for FEP, and I'll explain a little bit more what that means in a second here. So you know a little bit more about me. I want to tell you a little bit more about FEP. We are a great agency focused on providing professional development to our educators. So what we know is that our educators do not feel confident teaching personal finance. Many of them have made financial mistakes in the future and are dealing with that even today, so that their confidence is not as high as it should be, and so they don't feel completely there. So legislature created FEP so that we can bring together public and private stakeholders to provide financial education to our public school K-12 students. And our approach is, as I mentioned, to educate our educators, teach our teachers how to provide this foundational knowledge on personal finance to our youth. And the other big part of what we do is identify resources to teach financial education in an equitable manner where all students can achieve their academic goals and their financial goals and see themselves reflected in curriculum, which has not always been the case. Usually financial education curriculums and resources have been created by upper middle class, white people that have certain experiences, positive experiences with money and finances. They're banked, they understand the terminology, they understand financial terms, and that's not the reality for a lot of our students. So we focus a lot of attention on identifying resources that reflect the real, the real lived experience of our students. Let me see if I can get this up. Okay, great. Ooh, that was scary and exciting. Everybody, we're back from lunch. Let's go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. Okay, let's try this again. Nope. I can see it here. Can somebody come up here and help me? I'm shameless about asking for help. Thank you.
Yeah, go for it. You can keep talking.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier, I am the Special Populations Program Supervisor, and basically what that means is special population students are the students that face barriers to access educational services and resources that are easily accessed by all other students. And our special population students are, can everybody see that? I can read it out. Okay, perfect. Let me keep rolling then. No problem. Okay, so our unhomed, Native education students, foster youth, multilingual, dual language learners, our migrant and bilingual learners, our special education students, our alternative learners, and our institutionalized youth. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing some data with you guys so we can gain deeper understanding of what these barriers to financial well-being and financial health are that our BIPOC youth are facing. So we know that over half of the categories of special population students are facing housing insecurities, experiencing housing insecurity as a result of extreme economic hardship. And many of you may find this surprising and share the same concerns we have about how prevalent this issue is and the incredibly high number of students being impacted by it. So in 2021, that was a very, very tough financial year. We know what was happening. We had the pandemic, so many people lost jobs. And of course, people who were already experiencing economic hardship were the hardest hit by it. This data is from 2021, and it shows how the discrepancy between people who were 2 months away from losing their homes due to inability to pay mortgage or rent, or BIPOC families face this at much higher rates than white families, significantly higher. And when we look at the data for our unhomed youth in Washington State, we learned we have a little under 37,000 students who are experiencing homelessness in this state currently. Over 60% of them are BIPOC, the vast majority. Even though BIPOC youth are the minority in this state, they are extremely overrepresented in this category and others that put them at a disadvantage. Now, our BIPOC youth, I'm sorry, not BIPOC. Our unhomed students, under the McKenney-Vento law, which is a federal law ensuring the educational stability of unhomed students. An unhomed student is defined as a student who lacks fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. And, oh, thank you. That helps. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. A student is considered unhomed if they meet one or more of the categories that you see on screen. Can everyone see this now? Perfect. I'll give you a moment to read through that before I move to the next slide. Everyone ready? Yes, thank you. Okay, so when we look at the data for foster youth, we learned that neglect has become the #1 reason students are entering foster care. And this neglect is a direct result of economic hardship or poverty. Once a student enters foster care, a BIPOC student who enters foster care, they are more likely to stay in foster care and less likely to be reunited with their families than other youth. Students of color, again, are overrepresented in this category. About over a third of students who are in foster care will experience homelessness before the age of 17 in Washington State. Students in foster care are 2.5 times more likely to be involved with the justice system. And once an adult exits foster care, they have a 25% likelihood of being involved with the justice system. One statistic shows 90% of foster youth who have experienced 5 or more placements while in foster care will be incarcerated. 90%. This issue is so very, very common that we have terms for them. They're known as the foster to homeless pipeline and the foster to prison pipeline. Now I want to share some data on our migrant students. Yes, please.
On foster youth,
Yes.
what is the age-out age?
So 21. There are programs that extend that. The Chafee program has an extension to, give students more of a chance to learn skills that they need to be better prepared to enter adulthood independently, but traditionally it's 21.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
We are going to have a session for Q&A too, so I know folks have questions, so because we do have a...
Okay, so when we look at the data for our migrant students, we learned that 92% of our migrant youth come from Spanish-speaking countries. We have around 30,000 migrant students in Washington, and our migrant students and their families remain among the poorest, most underserved groups in the United States, not only in Washington, but in the entire country. Our migrant students face incredible challenges to access high-quality continuous education because of their high mobility rate. And of course, the reason why they're moving is because they're chasing work, right? They have to go to harvest wherever that is. Otherwise, they don't eat. They don't get paid. Additionally, our migrant students have face many challenges to accumulate academic credit because they have higher absenteeism than other students. And this often is a result of being sick a lot because of the work that they do. Some students as early as 12 years old are already working alongside their families, out in fields, snow, rain, whatever, just so they can help provide for their families and supplement their income. So sometimes these students are going to school hungry, tired, not able to engage, not because they don't have the ability, but because they've already been working for hours before the start of the school day. So why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because all of these experiences, this trauma of being homeless, of experience the foster system, of being a migrant youth who works and goes home and takes care of siblings and has to do all these things. It impacts their ability to achieve highly academically. Many of them have higher dropout rates than all other youth. In fact, in the migrant education program, the fastest growing population of students is dropouts. It's incredibly common. So what happens is these students don't finish high school. It impacts their ability to earn income, and it kind of perpetuates that cycle of poverty. We're talking about barriers that they face to financial wellness. This is one of them. These issues are barriers. So one of the approaches that we have, right, to providing high quality financial education resources in an equitable manner is realizing, hey, we need to understand what the challenges they're facing are. We need to know. If we don't know, we're not going to be able to address it. We're not going to be able to find the best suited resources to meet these students' academic needs. If I hand a foster youth, a BIPOC foster youth, a traditional financial education curriculum that was developed for upper middle class white students, they're going to close off. They're not going to identify, they're not going to engage. They're going to just tune out, and no learning will happen. So one of the challenges that we have faced has been finding great high-quality resources that reflect their real-life experiences. It's been difficult, but I'm happy to say we have done it. And this is part of our holistic approach to financial education. We're looking at the data. We're working with internal and external partners who work directly with BIPOC youth who are in these categories. We're finding resources that extend the learning into the home. We're looking for high cultural representation because we have a very diverse state, as we just saw with our migrant students. All of these factors are so important and even critical when considering how to reach this audience. If we don't do it the right way, it's not going to have an impact. And what we want to do is have a positive impact to break down these barriers. So I shared a little bit about the data, the challenges. Now I want to share some of the successes that we have had. This is a financial education curriculum called Building Native Communities, Financial Empowerment for Teens and Young Adults. It was developed by the OESTA Corporation and First Nations Development Institute. It is an incredible curriculum. It has such empowering message around cultural values of Native American nations throughout the United States. They don't only focus on Northwest tribes. They focus on tribes throughout the United States and highlight their traditional values around resources. They don't call it money because they had a subsistence economy where they provided for themselves. So they focus on resources and how they used to save resources and how they used to trade with their resources and how they used to manage their resources very successfully. And all we have to do now is, hey, realize we're in a market economy, highlight the fact that we have been doing this traditionally very well for millennia, and just bring it to the present. It's extremely empowering. It connects culturally with these students, and it explains financial terminology and concepts so simply and from such an empowering perspective that it just connects with you. It connects with these youth. They see themselves reflected in this. I'm happy to say that the migrant education program in the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction like this curriculum so much, they're having it translated to Spanish to resonate more with our migrant students. I also became certified in this curriculum. So I'm a certified trainer for this curriculum, I'm proud to say. And it's incredible. I'm so proud of that work because it's really a beautiful, beautiful curriculum. As I mentioned earlier, we try to extend that learning into the home as much as possible. First Nations Development Institute also has a very similar curriculum called Building Native Communities Financial Skills for Families. Very similar curriculum. The only difference is they're not focused on, situations that youth traditionally face. They're more focused on financial situations faced by adults. And this is extremely beneficial for entire communities, not just youths and families, but communities to learn these financial skills together. I focused a lot of attention on our foster youth, and I have an incredible curriculum that I actually found on the Financial Empowerment Network website. It's called Keys to Your Financial Future, and this curriculum was created specifically for foster youth. So that in itself is pretty remarkable. It was created with experts from around the country, as well as young adults who had aged out of foster care and shared what they wish they had known about financial skills and personal finance as they aged out of the system. So we know that this curriculum has scenarios and depicts real life experiences that these young adults are going to connect with, because these are the things that they've been going through for a while. And one of the things that I like so much about the curriculum, aside from the fact that it was created specifically for foster youth, is that really it would resonate with any young adult that is experiencing economic hardship or homelessness or has been involved with the juvenile justice system. It also highlights specific tools created for these young adults if they're interested in pursuing higher education, if they're interested in having career training, what resources are available specifically for them. And this is extremely important, as they don't have family who's going to say, hey, I can pay for your school, I can pay for your training. Usually their families are also going through economic hardship. So knowing what resources are out there for them to better their education and attain, if they're not interested in going to college, attain career training is extremely important. Now, in addition to full curriculums, we also have many other resources. Oh my. One sec. It always happens. I should have prepared us at the beginning of the presentation and said there's going to be technological difficulties because it's me. As I was saying, we have other resources, not just full financial education curriculums. We have activities, we have lesson plans, we have games, we have short videos that highlight financial topics in a fun, engaging manner. So whenever possible, we want it to not only be highly cultural representation, available in other languages, but we want to make it fun. We want students to enjoy learning. With that being said, we also have educational comics. They're very popular. They have been for a while. The one you see to your left was created by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and the one to your right is from Visa. The one from the Federal Reserve Bank is available in English and in Spanish, and they're really fun educational resources that teach personal finance and economics in a different and engaging way. And all of the resources I shared with you today are available through our website, feb.org. They're completely free. They are completely free. You can access them. Please, I invite you to peruse at leisure, because we have so many more resources. I would need a much longer time to go over everything, but we have a lot more resources that I would love for you to take a look at. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our partners who are providing low barrier access to financial services to our underserved communities. Some of them are here. I also want to take this opportunity to invite other financial institutions who are prioritizing services for underserved communities to partner with us. Come seek me out. Amy Cleaver, raise your hand. Seek her out. Tracy, raise your hand. Lance, raise your hand. We're all working for the same team here. So if you're a financial institution that wants to partner with us and you're providing services to underserved communities, we would love to connect. Now, I'm a little bit over, but I want to leave you with this. Data shows that the youth who benefit most from financial education are disadvantaged youth. So we don't have to wonder if our work is going to have an impact. We know it will. And that just makes me more motivated, feel more passionate to continue doing the work that we're doing. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. So with that, so our next presentation is going to be with Minda and Monika, and they are going to talk about the financial institutions' perspective on this topic, as well as community perspective on the topic that we're here for this afternoon. And so what they're going to talk about is some of the challenges that youth experience around financial well-being and accessing mainstream financial services. They're going to talk about some solutions and what's working well. They're going to talk about partnerships and what makes them successful and what else is needed. So at this time, Monika and Minda.
Do we check? Oh, I can hear me. Can y'all hear me? So Monika and I we're old friends, number one. And so we decided, since we know each other personally, to go a little bit against the grain. We are fans of Michelle Obama, our forever FLOTUS. And so we are going to, in the style of Michelle Obama, we're going to have a conversation that you all get to just listen in on. So there's that. Clinton, you can just be our timekeeper, please, sir. So we both have worked with young people since we were young people.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
You are an entrepreneur who works with young people. I'm an educator, I've been a teacher, a counselor. We've always worked with youth who look like us, right? And so this morning, we talked at our tables about all these topics already, so you and I get to just kind of talk more about our experiences with our young people. So last night, we were talking about challenges,
Yes.
right? So should we start with that?
Yeah, let's start with some challenges. First of all, I'm really excited to be in a room of just colleagues of people who get it. Yeah. Because all of the conversations that we had this morning, I was like, were they in my notes? Like, we're in the right place. And I know that we could spend, all day talking about challenges, but I do really want to highlight a couple. One being mindset, and I know that, Clinton brought it up, a few other people brought it up. We can have all the resources in the world, all of the packages, the CDs, the workbooks, all of that. But if a person's mindset is not primed and ready to receive, then it's just going to fall on deaf ears. And then we're going to be like, well, we invested all of this in these workbooks and it's not working. Well, first of all, we have to dial it back a little bit and start with mindset. When we're thinking about oppressed individuals, and I'm just speaking from the African American perspective because I myself am African American and I was a youth at one point. And also, that is the population that I focus on in my work. We're thinking about generational wealth now, but just thinking about generational poverty. Yep. When you're thinking about generational, right, it took a while to get to this point. This is something that has been going on time, right? And if we think that in one lifetime we are going to solve this, then we're not thinking about this right. We all have to be in this for the long term, right? And we cannot stop and start services. Right. We have to have a continual kind of pipeline so that we actually can break down some of these barriers and actually help lift people out of poverty. Right. You're talking about sometimes young people who still have the mindset of let me stuff my money under my mattress. That's what they learned from the generation before them, right? Grandma said, don't take your money to the bank. Stuff it in there, right?
Because why? We don't trust financial institutions.
That's right. That's
We
right.
don't see ourselves represent. Somebody said it in the plenary this morning. We don't see ourselves at the top levels, the
Yes.
senior management levels. We might see a teller, or we call them member consultants in the credit union world. So, but if we don't see people making decisions, we're not going to trust.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and also like, okay, let me go to this check cashing place as opposed to a bank. And someone said it earlier, you know, there are bank deserts. I never even heard that phrase before, but if you think about it, that's exactly what it is. There's no bank, but there's a check cashing place that's going to charge you an arm and a leg, or they may have come from, you know, well, just go get a payday loan to survive. We're not talking about because this is what we want to do, we don't have food.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you know when you get in that payday loan cycle, how hard,
Yeah.
you know, that is to get out of. So these are like practices, thoughts, beliefs, things that are passed down from generation to generation to generation. We have to start with mindset.
We have to start with mindset, and how do we do that? Are you going to tell me, or I'm going to tell you?
Oh, you tell
Okay.
me, like, let's tell each other. I didn't know if that was rhetorical or what.
So I love that we are now talking about financial trauma. I love that. And some of us, when I say us, I mean me, some of us are financial trauma coaches. And so we have financial coaches, we have financial advisors. That's not me. I can't tell you. Well, first of all, our people don't have riches to advise on, right? But so some of us are financial trauma coaches, so we got to deal with the trauma first,
Yes.
right? And so how are we doing that? I mean, you do it through your business. We talk about mindset. I've been doing it all my adult career, talking about where we come from. Financial institutions and mainstream businesses are just getting it. They're just getting story. Let's establish relationship and let's learn how to tell a story. Well, that's people of color, that's our tradition. It's oral, right? Mainstream culture, and I mean white folks by that, y'all know I mean that. Mainstream culture knows how to codify, and I think that's amazing and it's wonderful, and we need to learn how to do that as well, right? And, because I don't use the word but, y'all, and we come from oral cultures. We are African American. My mama's Filipino, and so all those cultures, Miladys culture, they're oral cultures, right? And so we pass down our native brothers and sisters. It's an oral culture. We pass down these traditions and these stories and these habits, right? There's nothing written. Go to the payday loan station, right? That we see it. Right, our kids learn by what they see. They learn by what we model. So if we're beginning to model financial wellness, and I'm like you, Ms. Linda, I don't like that term financial literacy because we're not illiterate. However, we can learn some things about our finances, correct? So the how of how we start to come out of our generational poverty is to go to you are in the community, right? I have the blessing on my W-2 job of going to the communities that I'm comfortable with. That's a blessing. We can't all do that, right? So I have the blessing on my W-2 job to do that as well. I say W-2 because part of financial education is learning how to increase our money. To me, that means more than one pay stream, right? More than one income stream. And so on my W-2, yes, I can go into the communities that I am familiar with. What are those? Those are communities you and I grew up in Southeast Seattle and Southeast King County, and talk to your organization. You and I have partnered in the past. We partner with whomever we know in our communities, right? So that is how we get past or how we begin to address, I shouldn't say past yet because we're not past it yet, but how we begin to address this financial trauma that our kids have, because you and I are women of color. We know we've lived it with our families, so we talk about it first. How many of us, and I do this with the kids, how many of us grew up in a household where we talked about money? And what was the conversation? We don't have it.
Hands. That wasn't a lot.
The conversation was we don't have it, right? My mother being Filipino, she thought, Michelle, because my family calls me Michelle, we don't have money. Your cousins in the Philippines, they're starving. No, they're not, because you're sending all your money to the Philippines. And that is what a lot of us who come from immigrant families, our parents were sending their money back to their countries, right? It's black tax.
Yeah.
We play black tax. So the way that we come out of that and the way we begin to educate our communities is by, number one, going into our communities, right? And so those of us who are financial institutions in the room, if we have senior management, not just branch managers, right, but senior decisions. Who said that in the plenary this morning? Senior management who are allowing us to do that and who are backing it financially for us to go into the communities, talk to the Monikas and to the Miss Lindas and to the folks who are running programs to bring the programming to our communities so that we can first have the conversation, how did we talk about money? Yeah. How do we feel about money? And then start to change mindsets, and then we can teach them all the savings, the investing, the even banking, because that's all. What do they call it in college? You have 101 level classes, but then those of us who had to go to community college first, we had to do 098 math, right? So that's
you know what, Michelle? I'm encouraged though.
Yeah.
So even though it seems like, we take one step back and two more back and then one forward and then five back. Yeah. I think that in the Black community, like there's this movement around generational wealth, about home ownership, Black home ownership, about starting businesses, and that information is actually starting with our youth. Yes. It's not a lot of, our age, our generation, it's the millennials that are, coming up with these things. And so I'm encouraged by that because just one step at a time. Yes. But you know what? Another challenge though.
What's another challenge?
Is, the discrimination that happens in the institutions. Okay. I know that, there's probably some DEI fatigue out there, I
don't like that too.
I think that, it's starting to wear on people like, oh, another DEI training. But listen, we have to keep that going until we get it. Yeah. And then, I mean, all of us, right. From every single perspective, because there are still young people that go inside the bank that may look like me, that are treated like they're going to rob a bank. I still deal with that as a hot 21-year-old. I still deal with that, and being treated like, oh, this $100,000 check could not be mine. Right. So if I'm treated like that as an adult and how it makes me feel, our young people go in. Just not too long ago, there was a real life situation. One of my employees, he's not even 21 yet, went in to cash his check, and he was in there for an hour. I mean, the check wasn't even $1,000. They had to go through all of the situations, and then they critique the organization. Like my organization, went into, is this correct? Is this proper? Is this real? And so we have to deal with that. Institutions, this is for the institutions, your front lines. I mean, and it trickles down, right? Ideas and things like that. But your front line definitely should be trained on DEI, and you should hire for people that honor differences in other people. Like there are hiring protocols where you can get to someone's real thoughts about diversity and equity and inclusion, and those practices should be integrated into hiring practices.
So our institutions have to be brave enough to not just check the boxes, right, about DEI. Now listen, I love my credit union, and whenever we do our employee surveys, I'm the one. Are we just checking boxes about DEI? And I hate that term. I use it, and it's in my bio. I use the term equity and social justice because that's what it is. It's a social justice issue, right? It's not just all that DEI stuff falls under social justice, right? And so we need you are your own business, and you can push back on your financial institution. Look, I got my money here for my business, right? Yes. And those of us who are, I hope you bank with a credit union. Those of us who bank with credit unions, and I'm not pushing credit unions per se because I love all financial institutions, but credit unions, at least we get to vote, right, on who our decision makers are. I don't know how that works in banks. Y'all can tell me that later.
But let's be real. Some of us are in death row contracts with these banks and credit unions, right? You're in this whole cycle and can't get out. And so that's a real thing too, that we just have to look at it. But let's talk about some solutions, because we can stay on that a while, I think that using the public-private partnerships, I think, is a good strategy, a good way to go. Financial institutions finding trusted nonprofits that are actually working with the population that we're trying to reach. Because we know that there's a trust issue thing there. Let's until that trust is built up, let's have a go-between, the credible messenger type of a deal to get get these young people what they need as far as financial services.
Definitely.
What do you think about that?
And so I love it. And it's a solution and it's also a challenge. Like I said, I have the blessing in my job to go into the communities that I'm familiar with. What about the communities that maybe don't know that financial institutions or organizations like yours exist that they could partner with to bring the financial education, the financial wellness information to their population, whether it be kids, students, they're kids or families or adults, right? So the solutions are to have people like you and me who know our communities out there doing the work. There's a lot of folks in the room who are part of community-based, for lack of a better way to put it, organizations, right? We have forums like this, and so we bring our information back to our communities. And for me, it's all about, like I said, most of us in here are people of color. We do things in community. We don't even eat by ourselves. We eat in community, right? We do everything together, and I think that's a beautiful thing. There needs to be, I would love to see, and Milady helped me with this, a database where we could go, and FEP does it, where's Jennifer? Fenwa does it, where we have a database where and Jennifer's great about connecting organizations. We need to know that we can connect with, Monika and I have known each other for decades. And so I've known Miss Linda since I was a baby. And so I know that I can go to the Urban League. I know that I can call on my girl. So we all, in our communities, know to call on each other. And what if we who have smaller organizations like yours can partner with each other to apply for certain grants? And I'm saying that
let me speak on that.
No, seriously, you did it. You were part. I'm saying that because Monika and I have known each other forever, so she knows when I worked for the King County, that how we would give organizations funding. And we encouraged small, like 2, 3, 4 person operations to partner with other small organizations to apply for the larger funding, right? So 25,000 is great. $1 million's better. Or 500,000 is better. And sometimes I have to learn how to partner with other organizations to apply for these funds.
Yeah, let me give you an example
Please do.
of where that worked really well. And Ms. Taylor is in the audience with the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. And when we were just first starting out, we were a small organization. The city of Seattle funded us to do a Money Talks curriculum where we partnered with a bank, took kids to field trips to open bank accounts, had a curriculum from the FDIC, housed at the Urban League, supported by the Urban League, and that was a great partnership for a smaller organization to link up with a bigger organization, to link up with government funding, and I'm still talking about public-private partnerships to get our young people, what they need. Another solution that I really like, though, is experiential learning. Michelle. I mean, our young people, so we provide internships. I'm also the owner of Queen Care. We're an all-natural body care company. We have a couple of stores in Seattle. And great product. Shameless plug. And we actually provide internships for our young people to come work in the store, learn about entrepreneurship, and make money, because we have to have alternatives for our young people, or else they're going to turn to other methods of making money, right? And so in that process, it's not just about giving them a check. See, when we're doing young people a disservice just giving them stipends. Yes. Oh, come participate in our program, we'll just give you a stipend. Right. Use that opportunity to teach them how to use that stipend that they're getting. Some of these young people are walking away with $2,000 a summer and all of that. That's something that we could be teaching them how to invest their money, how to save their money, how to have it be a part of the curriculum, right? Another thing that I've seen go well are IDA accounts. Do they still call them IDA accounts? Okay, they do. Savings match accounts, where the participant puts up a certain amount, it's matched by the financial institution, and they can use it to go to school, to start a business, to purchase a home. Those are solutions to help, start training our young people in finances and getting their mindset around, number one, you're worth it. Right. Number two, you belong in this financial fabric and economy, right? Last time I checked, the black dollar is fueling a lot of this economy to the trillions of dollars. So like let's learn how to, utilize our power.
Use our power for good. I tell the kids.
Use it for good.
Use your power for good. You out there being a street pharmacist, let's use our smarts and come on, go over to Miss Monika with the
Come on over here.
Queen
But
Care.
yeah, partnerships.
Yeah.
Partnerships.
Partnerships with each other as smaller organizations, and then partnering with larger organizations and or government organizations to get there is so much money out there, y'all. And that's another, around mindset, that's another topic we talk about with our young people when we're starting to reframe mindset, is money is not a finite thing.
Right.
And it's not a pie, right? That I get one tenth of a slice and everybody else gets, no. It is linear, it's energy, right? And we can get it. Yes. So changing the conversation, Devin, you're familiar with this, changing the conversation, not we don't have it, what we gonna do to get it? Yeah. Yes, I said that ebonically. Yes, I did. I am trilingual. So what we gonna do to get it, right, Deb? It's not there, and we don't have it. Yeah. And so that's what a lot of our young people that's why they turn to alternative forms of making income, is because they don't feel like they can do it legally. Absolutely. And so when you're teaching them entrepreneurship, and you know that you're my shero for that, we need to, because our dollars are fueling the economy, so we should be owners. Absolutely. And not just homeownership is extremely important. It's how we pass down generational wealth. And because our young people nowadays have all these digital ways of making money, and our millennials are the generation, and I know we know this in the room, they are the generation who are millionaires. Yeah. My son just turned 21, and he works a W-2 job, and he is building his financial empire doing all these digital, I can name one, he's done it, right? So, but if you and I, as educated women, as entrepreneurs, if we can begin to teach the children in our home, because ministry begins at home, right? We can teach the children in our home and teach families in our communities about ownership, not just being real property, which I am a fan of, that's one of my businesses, right? Real property ownership and business ownership. Yeah. And then what I have learned over the years is a lot of us who have had, some of us have had businesses that have failed, right? And they do that a lot of times in our communities of color. Thank you for the 10 minutes, because we know how to do the work. That's right. We know how to teach the community whatever it is we're teaching, right? We don't know the business part of it. Yeah. We don't know how to run a business. And you learn that over a period of years, right? And that is another solution, I feel. We teach our young people, we teach our families, we teach our communities entrepreneurship, and then we give them the tools to make their business successful. Absolutely. Don't just say, I'm opening a daycare, I'm opening a restaurant, because somebody can burn in the kitchen, but they may not know how to run their business. That's right. Right? That's so financial wellness is all of it. And once we start talking about building and scaling a business, then we talk to a financial advisor about multiplying my wealth. Yeah. Right?
And these are all concepts that young people, they're on top of it. Yes. Like they are really they're our future. Mm-hmm. So that is, where we want to start, right? Yep. There is planting those seeds, home ownership, business ownership, stocks, bonds, the whole thing right there. But I do have one piece before we move into our dream big, right? What we really want to see. Is for the financial institutions and the grant makers. Is really following the outcomes, because it's so easy to give a grant or give money and just forget about it, just to check your box. You talked about checking the box, right? But if you really follow the outcomes, what is really working? Is this working? Is it not? Just stop throwing money after something if it's not working. Right. If it's working, scale this program up. Programs like Your Money Matters and Clinton, scale those programs up. The other ones that are just continue. Yeah, y'all. Shameless plug. You remember that, Clinton.
See how we
Remember,
take
I
care of
did
each
that for
other?
you.
It's working together. It's taking care of each other. Yes.
Scale those up, but like really be intentional about where you're funding, right? You're a credit union, you know, you're in the community, you know what's going on, but it's really about the outcomes at the end of the day and not throwing good money after bad.
That's right.
So let's dream big, okay? I'm gonna throw my big.
Tell me your dream. Come on.
I really want to see financial education in the schools.
Yes, ma'am.
Like we talked about it at our table back there. Yes, we have to have that. Like it doesn't make any sense that, you know, we are constructing all of these curriculums and all of these new ways of being, you know, from pre-K on, and not embedding financial education. It just doesn't even make sense.
I can tell you why.
Oh, why? Can you do it in 2 minutes? Because they,
I
they
can-
rolling
but-
around.
Because
us.
this is a consumer. We're raised to be consumers, y'all. We're not raised to be owners. And so our school district our schools are systems. The systems are raising us, all of us, to be consumers. So we don't learn ownership. We don't learn home ownership. We don't learn business ownership. We don't learn about how to grow and invest our money because they are teaching us to be consumers. And so, yes, that's my dream as well, that we have these financial education in our schools. Well, until that happens,
Until then,
we
what we
have
gonna
the
do?
Monikas, we have the Devons, we have the Clintons, we have the Minda Michelle. We have us in the room who are bringing this financial education to our communities in the form of all these wonderful statistics that we have at FEP and all the bringing us together that FENWA does, right? Until we can have those. And when we gonna do that? When we gonna have financial educations in the schools?
We can't. I'm not saying we can wait. You know, we're dreaming here.
We're dreaming. So listen.
We're dreaming.
So get on our school boards is what you're saying, is what I'm hearing. Get on our PTAs, get on, you know, and that's another thing we gotta teach our kids. Part of financial wellness is freaking voting. And voting at the bottom, at the city level and on up.
But let me shake this up a little bit too, because yes, we want our schools to do these things, but also if they don't and they're not moving in a manner that we want, we're just starting our own schools. To be honest with you. We're starting our own schools, we're doing our own thing because we can't continue to wait for institutions to, you know, get it together. Like you said, they weren't even, you know, developed for us in the first place. So like, yes, we love, you know, all of the resources and things like that, but if we can't get what we need, then we're just starting our own.
We create it, that's right, that's right. Are you shutting us up?
Yeah, we're done. Because, you know, we can Michelle Obama all night.
We
got
have
5 minutes.
Do you want to gift everybody 5 minutes so we can do discussion?
Yeah,
Are we done?
Yeah,
Because we can
yeah,
go
let's do
at
it.
15, so we should stop.
Okay, so. Gotcha.
Adding time to the Q&A.
Let's do it. Let's do Q&A.
5 minutes at the end for Q&A wasn't enough, so we'll add that on. We'll put that on.
Let's have a conversation.
So we'll put that on the.
Yeah.
On the, we have Q&A. We're gonna. Can you write it on it? Can you write it on a sticky note? And then we'll go.
Yeah, so.
That's fine. Let's go. We're there. Let's go ahead with the questions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's do it. Yes.
It's lovely to be remembered. Thank you. I would just love to have, again, the conversation we had kind of started at our table, talking about one of the challenges facing us with financial education for our youth is that they are growing up and starting their financial habits completely different than we did, than educators did, right? The value of $1 lessons is what I quote unquote call it. You know, mine was quarters. Theirs is going to be pressing a button to spend this much and that much. And that frictionless spending, which we know is designed to encourage us to spend more. So just love to hear your thoughts on how we approach that situation as educators and as people who want to see this kind of change.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to let you guys do that because I actually work with her. My question is the same. Same question.
Okay. So we did, and we were at the same table. So we were talking about peer-to-peer payments, like, you know, the PayPals, the what are they, Cash Apps, and all these things. And I was sharing how one of my kids, students, excuse me, has a bank account with his parents, and he does everything. He sells clothing and sneakers and stuff online. And so how do these kids pay each other? Through these peer-to-peer platforms, the Cash Apps, the PayPals, the Venmos, and all those, right? So somehow his account was hacked, because all these peer-to-peer payments are connected to our bank accounts, right? Somehow somebody hacked him. They did something to his account. Long story short, his bank account ended up negative, something like $1,500, right? Doing the peer-to-peer business, right? Because he's an entrepreneur, he's doing great. Well, he got mad at his bank because he didn't have the proper understanding about banking and about, how dollars work, right? All he knows is, Venmo me that $500 for those shoes, right? And so somehow he became negative, and he's mad at the bank, at his financial institution. And so what does he do now? Even though I'm coaching him and his family and his parents, we're to get him to try to get his account back to at least zero, so he can, because he wants to close it out. We're trying to tell him, well, in the meantime, your credit's being affected. So while you're sitting there being mad at your bank, allowing your account to be $1,500 negative for 5 months, and you're doing everything else, how is he banking? Cash App. That's his bank. And so yes, how are we getting our young people to understand the value of the dollar when we had, paper money, and maybe some of us had envelopes or jars to learn how to budget? We're teaching those, but how do you pay your?
No, I think we have to meet our young people where they are. And we know that there's all of these peer-to-peer payment. I mean, myself as a business owner, I would love to just accept cash, but that's not the world that we live in right now. We have to accept all of these platforms. And so why don't we come up with some education for how to use Cash App? If he had some information that this is connected to your bank account and this is how this works, then that would be better. We can't act like Cash App and PayPal and Venmo and all those things don't exist. Those are platforms that are getting stronger and stronger and stronger, right? And so let's educate them about it. Let's come up with a curriculum. Let's do it so that they have what they need. Because they're going to, there's some people that only pay with Cash App, like if you believe it or not. Yeah. And so what are you going to say? Oh, I'm not going to take that money because I don't accept it or I don't know how to do it. Let's just come up with what we need to.
Well, and Clinton, you can speak to this because you have your Money Matters curriculum, but I know I have also, I've developed a workshop around fraud and fraudulent practices with these peer-to-peer payment platforms. Do you have something like that in your curriculum, Clinton, around fraud and? Yeah,
we do. We can cover that and protecting your identity and being aware of your surroundings and those things like that. I want to, because we have another small portion of this, and so these questions are great. Did you, because out here, then you can kind of, use the last 10 minutes to kind of talk at your table, but we wanted to know, what's something that you just learned that surprised you? And the other one, or you could throw in there, who do you want to connect with during this forum? Right. So that's kind of a lot to cover in 10 minutes, but you can kind of bounce it around a little bit. And if you want to write that down on sticky notes and Post-it notes, that's something that we can also, and Ryan's pointing to the corner over here where you can put those up so we can kind of do 2 for 1. You can talk about it and write at the same time, and then let us get your thoughts on the Post-it notes. So we got about 10 minutes. I'll come back and wrap us up in like 10 minutes.